So today we're going to begin talking about digestion, starting with part one, which is mastication. So mastication is the process by which food is crushed and ground by teeth. It is the first step of digestion. So what does that look like? So here we'll see the process of mastication, which is literally just chewing your food. So as you can see, he's crushing up an apple and chewing it with his teeth. So mastication is the process by which food is crushed and ground by the teeth, and this is the beginning of digestion. So as you chew your food, your teeth are not just crushing the food, but it's also mixing it with saliva. Saliva contains enzymes that will break down nutrients to be digested later. So here you can see the juice from the apple and the saliva all mixing together with the food. So that is the underlying thing really driving digestion in the process of mastication. So for those who don't remember from their chemistry classes, enzymes are proteins that act as a biological accelerant for chemical reactions. They speed those reactions along. So the main one that we find in saliva is amylase, which will break down starches into sugars to begin the process of digestion. And starches are just really long chains of sugars joined together. So we'll see that here in this little illustration, where we have amylase being released from the salivary glands and reacting with these starch molecules to break them down into smaller bits of sugar. And our body is better able to absorb and use those smaller bits of sugar. Once it's chewed up the food, mixed it with the saliva, and digestion has begun, the tongue is going to sweep all the food together into a small ball called a bolus. And once it's gathered everything into this bolus, the tongue moves up and pushes the food up and back into the esophagus. Once it's in its esophagus, it begins its journey to the stomach. So the esophagus, as you will have seen, moves the food through a process known as peristalsis. So this is the contraction of the muscles behind the food, the relaxation of muscles in front of the food to help propel the food down. So this animation will show a little bit more of what that looks like. So as it moves back into the esophagus, watch the muscles behind it contract. Looks kind of like it's being pinched off. And the muscles in front stay relaxed and open so that the food moves down into the stomach. So I'm going to skip this for a second and look at what peristalsis looks like in real life. So you can't really visualize an esophagus in a real live person, but we can look at the intestines, which are something we'll talk in more detail later. These are long muscular tubes that work in the same way. So as we watch this video, you'll see waves of peristalsis moving through the intestines. All those wave-like movements are contractions to move contents down and through the intestines. So that's what peristalsis looks like in real life. As we get in here, this is what it looks like as we look at the contents of the intestine. You can see the contents are being pushed down and up and down and around, speeding up and slowing down as muscles contract and relax. So that is the process of mastication, from chewing your food, mixing with saliva, being gathered into a bolus, pushed into the esophagus, and peristalsis carrying it down to the stomach.